Facebook on here. Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Greg J. Here. Larry Fiddler.
Here.
Rick Deerwester.
Here.
Gary Bennington.
Here.
Marshall Hibler.
Here.
Sam Hinman.
Here.
Additions or deletions to the agenda?
So, gentlemen, I do have just a couple items.
Did we make note that Cindy was not present?
Yes. Cindy is not here this evening, and you might want to make sure your microphones are all on. Thank you, Sam. I would like to add just one item for the agenda, and that, I'm sorry, two items. The payment for Graham Youngs, who was the attorney for Miss Galloway. I'd like to get that on the agenda. And also, we need to get permission for Sam and our auditor, Susie Bass. We need to get permission for them to work with ADP, which would require just a signed statement from the council. So with that, I would just ask that the council approve Larry to sign off on a statement authorizing Sam and Ms. Bass to work with ADP, our previous payroll provider. And that is it for me.
While Mr. Hibler's talking about number 10, I'd like for him to go ahead and kind of give us an update on 12 point.
Oh, sure. I would make a motion to accept the agenda with the add-ons.
I'll second.
Okay, Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Rick Deerwester,
Aye.
Greg J.
Aye.
Larry Fiddler.
Aye. And do we have minutes to approve?
Daniel and I are gonna get together and see what
Okay.
we need and what needs revision.
We're trying to figure out a couple items from what Cheryl, I think, had previously worked on, and we need to just figure out what she did and what she didn't do, so we're still working on that. Hopefully we'll have that for next week.
Yes.
I'm sure we will have it for next week.
Okay, pay for office personnel.
Just as kind of a heads up, I think it would be appropriate to start the conversation. Sam has been a huge asset for the town over the last month. She's really stepped up and been kind of a go-between between Susie Bass, our auditor, and the council, and she's been really doing a great job. So I think that it would probably be beneficial for the town to consider getting her in a different position in terms of pay. Right now, she's working probably more than 29 hours a week. And she's only really authorized to work that 29 based on our salary ordinance right now. So I think if you would want to have at least begin the conversation of how you would like to do that, I have a recommendation in terms of the salary ordinance process. My thought is we need to amend the salary ordinance and do so in a way where we can get Sam paid. Well, let me just say, the previous salary ordinance that that it wasn't very descriptive, and we need to improve it. And so, I think we need to probably do that sooner rather than later. And with Sam and with Susie, right now Kelly is not working in the office. She is out for the summer. So you have Sam, who's trying to fulfill the role of clerk treasurer, and Susie's doing utility. And there's a lot, I think, on those two individuals, especially when Susie's only working 40 hours and Sam's really only supposed to be working 29 hours. So we need to probably figure out what we need to do in terms of getting Sam in a different position for pay. And we can have that conversation, what you would want to do in terms of how much you would want to pay for her role. And I would also want to get some information that between our last meeting in early May and this meeting, Trina Baker, our deputy clerk treasurer, did resign. So she is no longer working for the town. So again, we have Sam and Susie in those roles trying to keep us afloat, and they've been doing a really good job at doing that. But we probably need to figure out next steps in terms of what the council would like to do. My recommendation at this point is whatever you would like to do in terms of Sam's pay and Susie, whatever we do, or whatever you decide to do, we'll just need to do it in a salary ordinance. And my plan would be to work with Susie Bass here in the next few days, get something amended so that potentially we could have it available for our meeting next week to get it approved.
I will agree with that to a certain extent. I don't think we should use the ordinance where Cheryl gave herself a raise and gave Wayne the extra 20,000 in that ordinance that we signed, that we should have looked over closer ourselves.
So with that ordinance, yes, we're going to get those revised and get that information taken out of there. So, the changes that Cheryl made to those ordinances,
Without our authorization.
yes, we're gonna get that rectified. And so ultimately, that's why I think if we amend the salary ordinance, it would behoove us to go ahead and make those changes, but also take that information and revise it as well.
Do we have a update on a permanent solution as far as a clerk?
Not from anything that I've heard at this point.
What was the deadline on that? That was pretty close, right?
I
30
think
days?
the 11th.
So yes, Ms. Galloway resigned on May 11th, and my understanding is that they have 30 days from the 11th to select someone.
Right.
I haven't heard anything, so.
Is there any list that we could get as council members of who has filed for the job?
I don't know.
Bo Bears is the chairman,
He is.
so he should have a list of who has filed and who.
I don't know. I can
think
reach
we
out to,
should- I think we should know as a group too.
I think it's pretty secretive until the,
Is it?
till the appointment.
Yeah.
Oh,
But at either rate, we need to get, Susie and Sammy up to, what they're doing now. Yeah. Get them paid
well,
quarterly.
so yeah, and that's something that, what we could do, as opposed to, because right now we have this vacancy in the clerk treasurer spot, right? And whoever is selected, or whomever is selected for that position, they could come in and make changes, right? They could hire people, they could do whatever they choose to do in some ways, in terms of staffing the clerk treasurer department. So I would probably not recommend moving Sam into like the deputy clerk treasurer part that has already been approved in our salary ordinance. I would recommend changing her status to maybe just coming up with maybe a new clerk status. So maybe like a pay authorization clerk, or something that would reflect, so that she wasn't taking on that deputy clerk position, because that could be filled by, that will be probably filled by the new clerk treasurer, when that person is selected. So Again, this is just I want y'all to start having the conversation, because I know that Sam and Susie, there's two folks in the office right now trying to balance all of that work. So it would probably be, be to the town's benefit to start considering how you want to start handling those issues. One, Susie probably needs to, if she needs to work overtime, and that's something else that we need to get figured out in our salary ordinance, because when the way Cheryl had done the salary ordinances previously, there was really not a lot of information about that. So we need to make sure that's in there. So again, that's more reason why we need to just go ahead and redo the salary ordinance and make it right.
And Daniel, my observation, because I've been here, Susie is putting in much of extra time right now, just free gratis. She's just doing it because the work has to be done. So she's doing some fantastic work and putting in some pretty long hours.
So, I just wanted to give you at least a heads up. So is there anything you'd like to at least talk about with it? What your preferences would be? How you'd like to handle pay with Sam? I mean, how would you guys like to proceed on this?
Well, if Sam would pick up more hours, would that not relieve some of the stress that Susie's having to cover? Do you cross over in job responsibilities?
Yes and no. Could I help her? Yes, but Susie Bass gave me a rather hefty, time-consuming checklist of things to do. So as much as I would love to say if I worked 40 hours I could help her, I would probably just be knocking out more in the clerk treasurer. Like I've had a couple invoices that are more than 90 days old and having to hunt down credit card receipts. I mean, I can help her, but it may be at the penalty of the clerk treasurer duties.
Well, at this point in time, I think we just need to be able to cover both positions adequately. And if she's putting in excessive hours to get the job done, and you have some allotted time on your side of the schedule that you could cross over to assist, I think it would be beneficial to do that rather than try to recreate the wheel.
Yeah, I think at the most, as far as clerk treasurer, we're looking at what, 2 weeks maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a temporary.
But we should either have someone in here or
At least
duties will
know what
change.
direction we're going.
Yeah.
So what, are you wanting to potentially move Sam to like a full-time status then, as opposed to part-time?
I would say let's remove that restriction of the 29 hours
Okay.
so that she can have the adequate time to complete the tasks that are in front of her. And I would agree with, what's your current salary?
Yeah, it's the same as the part-time water. It's $13.80 an hour.
So, I mean, because she is taking on the extra role, I think we should do an adjustment on that salary, at least in the interim, while she is doing the extra duties and roles. And if we do get an assigned clerk and you want to step back to your current position, we could step back to the old pay. But in the interim, we definitely need to be compensating her for the extra effort and time.
Now, in that position, is there overtime allowed? If we go from 29 to 40, can we allow her to do overtime?
So, yes, with
If she would want to do that, obviously.
I have never heard of anybody in the office, or basically anyone in the town, actually working overtime.
Yeah, but with these next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
until
sure.
you know what I mean? If that was.
This is a very temporary, and we're
Right.
trying to dig ourselves out of a very deep hole.
Right.
And it's requiring extra time and effort on everybody's behalf to accomplish the task in front of us. And I think we need to be compensating the individuals that are at the lead of that.
Sure.
I agree with that.
Yep.
And they're making comments online, if you can talk closer to your mics, they're not hearing you, the online viewers.
and actually probably, are they on?
Yeah, mine is.
This one is.
Perfect. Okay. So,
Not working.
then at our our meeting next week, I'll begin work on a revised salary ordinance, and we'll take care of that, and we'll, hopefully be able to get that approved.
And we do wanna word that this is a temporary, rather than a permanent, full-time type position.
Yeah, and we can still make other changes in 2 weeks too, once we know the clerk, those kind of things, right?
Well, yes, so the clerk is gonna have the ability to kind of control at least
Yeah.
the clerk, the deputies underneath that person.
Okay.
So, the way the statute's written, they have, that's discretion that is left to the clerk. It's not unfettered, but that the clerk does have discretion over the deputies.
So-
And so,
So that being said, the clerk is going to come in with their own set of guidelines, and we can work through that at that point in time, but we're not there yet. We just need to get through the temporary interim till we get there.
right. The problem is, the way our salary ordinance is drafted right now, it doesn't have any language for overtime. And, right now she's just in a part-time position, so, with her additional work, we're gonna
Well,
probably.
she's in a part-time position, limited to 29 hours.
Right,
And that's what we need to remove, the limit of 29 hours. I still think, is it something you can accomplish in a 40-hour work week? Or do we, I guess in the interim, maybe we should put a waiver in there for a certain amount of allotted overtime if needed. Just because of this being, we don't know what's gonna come up.
okay.
I know with Susie working the 40 hours instead of the 32, she's definitely getting a lot more caught up. I think if I could work the 40 as well, we should be able to stay afloat. She may need a little bit, like I will take the hit and not volunteer for overtime, but she may need it.
She's already worked some, hasn't she?
She hasn't worked past 40.
Really? Okay.
And now we're adding Sam, another additional 11 hours or, so that should relieve some of the stress on Susie and put more on Sam.
Yeah.
The other question, or the other part of this is, would you want to make it retroactive for the last few weeks, going back to, I guess, early May? Because their work, I guess, began in early May.
I would think we would go retro because we did give her the task when this all occurred.
So Cheryl's resignation time, or?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I agree.
that's when Sam took on the extra responsibility.
Correct.
So I would definitely be in favor of activating that so that she gets compensated for that time and responsibility.
We will get that on the agenda for next week.
One question, are you going to revise the whole salary ordinance now, or?
My preference would be to go ahead and do it all,
Okay,
and redo it.
And have it ready for Tuesday.
It needs it,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
So, that's all I had on that for this evening.
We don't need a motion to,
Nope.
okay.
Okay, financial assessment.
Just as give you an idea as to what that is referring to, at our previous meeting, I had spoken to the council about having our auditor do a financial assessment of where we are for the year in terms of the town's finances. With Ms. Galloway's departure, there was, I'm sure the council probably needs to know where exactly we're at in terms of our finances. When I spoke with Ms. Bass, she did indicate that it would take probably 10 to 12 hours, and that her partner who she works with would be able to do that for the town. And their current rates, it wouldn't change any. It's what the town's already paying them for their assistance. For one individual, it's $125 an hour. And then for both to be working for the town at the same time, it would be $230 an hour.
Okay.
But,
So
like I said, they estimated that it would take 10 to 12.
Is that 10 to 12 total hours or 10 to 12
Combined.
combined?
10 to 12 total,
Okay.
yeah,
So we're looking around $2,500.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would think at the most,
Right.
yeah, it could be less. But the reason I feel like this is necessary, one, we need to know because Cheryl's not here to answer questions.
How soon can they accomplish this?
I would think within the next few weeks.
Do we need to motion for this, or?
Yeah, I would just,
I would motion that we bring them in ASAP so we can get a baseline of where we're at.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
So,
I'll
you're,
second that.
okay,
And if it takes one person or two people, whatever they feel is the most efficient way to let them go ahead and move forward.
okay. Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Rick Deerwester,
Aye.
Greg J,
Aye.
Larry Fiddler.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Number 8, sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot. I hope
You're fine.
the public knows that I'm just helping, trying to help guide the council through this. Mr. Bennington, was it something that you needed to?
Was she gonna, she was supposed to talk, let it go a long time.
Oh, I think you're on number 10.
Yeah, I'm on number 10.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I've got a couple bullets on it.
So, about 2 weeks ago, I was notified that Jim Holder, the attorney who the town has been working with, we subcontracted with him to handle some additional legal work for the town, that he was going to be withdrawing from representation. He indicated that he was kind of trying to spend a little bit more time with his family. And so, with that, I began looking for a replacement, and I know several of the attorneys here at Wright, Shagley, and Lowry out of Terre Haute. I had never met Thomas Clary, but he's their municipal attorney there, and he was interested in helping the town. And this is really only on the Orrin Smizer case that we have pending. His rate is going to be less than Mr. Holder's. So I would just be asking that the council approve working with Mr. Clary on the Smizer case. And it would be saving the town $50 an hour. So, and when I spoke with the Thomas Clary last week, he indicated that he has worked with Stilesville and Staunton. He's worked with several municipalities there around Terre Haute, and that he's got experience doing the unsafe building law work. So he'd basically be taking over from where Jim is stepping out. So if the council would go ahead and approve that, I'll get that process started for the town, and we'll get that.
What was his rate?
His rate is
200.
200 versus
well,
250.
yeah, it's $200 an hour.
It's $50 cheaper.
Okay.
Mr. Holder was $250 an hour, so it'll save the town $50 an hour for services, and ideally we won't have to be utilizing them for too many billables. So.
Well, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and take on Thomas Clary and save $50 an hour.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Rick Deerwester,
Aye.
Greg J,
Aye.
Larry Fiddler.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Mencken.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. Just gonna give you guys a quick update on where we're at on the train depot building. Yeah. couple pictures in here are basically where we're at with the demo process. One of the things that we discovered in the process, the way the skirting was put on by the previous contractor, it was set up to basically channel water back in against the building. And you can see in this first picture, there's a spot on the corner where the wood was actually completely rotted out. We've already got that patched. As you know, the ramps, the stairs have been removed at this point. This is the next picture back is the white door that it's the double door that we're going to be replacing. And the stairs and stuff are out of that right now. Round back, this door's in fairly poor condition. As you can see, the rot underneath that door right there. And in the process, we're gonna go ahead and change that out and get that repaired as well. We had a couple thoughts about this door back here. One, when we had to enter the building, because we couldn't find any keys, this is the door that we went through. And it's obviously been entered forcefully before. So I would really make a suggestion that we would maybe not go back with the set of stairs at this door, but in the process of siding and repairing the lower part of this, we could actually create a fake looking entrance, which would be a wall with windows in it, but we could keep it detailed like the doors, and that would secure that area. I mean, this is between the south side and the storage buildings, so if anybody was going to break into this building, this is where they're going to do it from. So I'm just making a suggestion that maybe we consider doing that while we're doing this process.
On that picture also, it shows the vents in the crawl space.
Yeah, I'm gonna adjust. I'll address the dirt and soil issue here, the drainage in a minute. Inside demo's complete. So it shows that picture shows the partition, the sink, that old kitchenette thing. That's all removed already. The next picture shows you what that back room is supposed to look like. So that room was a storage and cargo area, so it was just more of a pass-through area in the past. And the shiplap type siding is what would have been traditional to that building. And what's happened over the years is they've put that drywall and stuff up to cover up the shiplap for electrical, phone, and it made access to electric panel back there not so desirable. We have in the budget to repair and paint that drywall, and it really be your guys' choice, because what we've got in the budget would probably cover just demoing all that out and going back to the shiplap. So if you guys wanted to go back to what the original look would be, the grid ceiling goes all the way to the outside wall. The electric panel is on the shiplap wall on the outside. So we've kind of got an opportunity if we wanted to take it back to original. So be just up to you guys on what you want to do there. Like I said, we have budget to either patch it and paint it, and I think it'd take just about the same amount of money just to demo it out and be done with it.
What would you do with electrical?
There's 4 outlets in there, and 3 of the 4 would come out with the demo, and the other one I can just get refit back into the wall. I mean, it's pretty minor actually. So if you guys wanted to go that route, we could definitely go that route. Shiplap. So, okay, the next one is the gutters and drainage. Basically, there's only gutters over the entry, the 2 entry doors, and what that's caused is where there's not guttering, we're basically have eroded away the dirt, and enough dirt at this point that we have water running back toward the building, and that's not a good thing. When we got down in the crawl space to cap the plumbing from the old kitchenette, the whole crawl space was soaking wet. So I know we got a drainage problem right now, and what water does inside the building, it's just gonna cause mold, and it'll just start destroying itself from the inside out. So I think that it's time to address that grading issue.
Did you notice mold down there?
There is a little bit of black mold starting on the floor system. If we get it dried out, it won't go any further. So this building's pretty amazing, because in that cargo area, it has a 2-inch solid thick oak floor in it. If you ever walk through that building, I mean, it doesn't move. It's pretty impressive, actually. But what we need to do is basically, there's vents there's enough dirt there that it's actually covering up the foundation vents. And I really believe that we should bring an excavating contractor in and excavate that down. And the dirt that we pull out of there, we actually need dirt on the front, so we can pull dirt off the east side and the northeast or southeast side and use that dirt in the front, so we're not, having to bring any dirt in. I think we got enough there to do what we need to do. And then once that's done, go ahead and reseed. The other part of this is I'm going to make the recommendation that we put full gutters front and back, and go ahead and drop the downspouts down. And while we got the contractor there doing the regrading, we go ahead and drop in a 4-inch SDR drain system and drain all the gutters down the downspouts into that SDR, and then drain it out to the west. Because once we get the grading right, and if we control the moisture off the storm water off the roof, the building will survive a lot longer. I just think this is kind of the prudent time to do it. I'm just making suggestions. I mean, I think it's the best thing we can do for this building.
I just saw something, there's a hydrant on the back side there. We had, at times, wanted to remove that hydrant altogether.
Is it the water hydrant, like the
Yeah.
little spigot coming out?
Spigot,
Yeah,
people,
we could remove that.
because,
Yes.
people had turned it on and had high water bills there.
Yeah, somebody took the handle off it. I saw it. It doesn't have a handle on it now, but you could still operate it with a pair of pliers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I mean, that would be,
My recommendation.
Yeah, no, it'd be simple.
Yeah.
we could definitely, we could just do that.
Yeah.
I'll just send my plumber back down underneath there, and we'll just cap it. Okay, brings up the next things. We got the inside and outside of that south door, and this is that back door that I was making the suggestion that we could, I could basically turn that into a wall, but it would look like a door from the outside. So you would keep the look of the outside, but we could gain the security by just making that change.
How would it affect exits?
Exits, the building's small enough and you have enough egress out the front of the building, it wouldn't affect the egress out of the building at all.
Still got 2 doors.
Yeah, both sides have got plenty, you got plenty of egress
Okay.
in the structure. Next page shows a kind of a poor picture of the original building, and you can see that the glass doors on the right was originally a solid door because it was just storage. I don't think going back to a solid door would be very beneficial to the space, because it's never going to probably be storage again. It's probably more likely going to be an office or occupied by somebody. So my next suggestion on the next page, I actually found there's another train depot called Cloverdale, and it happens to be in California.
Yeah, right.
But you can see the design on the double door there, and that would be a period correct design. My suggestion would be basically on the next page. I like that design. I think it goes well with it, but we would do the top panel and the middle panel with glass, and then leave the solid panels in the bottom. So on the next page, you'll see a door. I found one that was real similar to that design. So this is just for you guys to kind of give me a direction on what you want for a door, and then I can go find it. The next door on the right there, that's just the walk-through door that was by the ramp. And that door's in pretty poor condition as well. It's all rusted out on the back. And if we're gonna do the double doors, I would make the recommendation that we go ahead and just get one more door and change that one out at the same time. That way they all look the same. And I think we can do that fairly reasonably. Next page, I actually found these gray doors here, and these doors would just be a modern twist of something that would also be period correct, and I thought those were real interesting. And the doors on the right would be also a period correct style door. So it just gives you guys a couple options of stuff that you can look at, and just you can give me some guidance in the next couple days, and I can start the search to find the doors. I do recommend that we go with a fiberglass door. They're wood grained. We can make them look like wood. They last like fiberglass. They're a titch more expensive, but I think this project kind of deserves to at least put something quality on it that we know is going to last a little bit. Next page here. As you know, we're going to go back with concrete steps and concrete ramp. That first set of railings, that's a traditional railings that you would see on a government building. I don't like them. I think they're ugly.
Too, modern and.
Yeah. So my idea here is I gave you guys a couple railings that I think would be a little bit more period correct. When I met with the welder the other day, he was open to doing something that didn't look so institutional. And the one thing is when especially the ramp side, those rails are really going to impact what the front of the building looks like. So I think they're kind of important. The one in the right there, that was kind of just a simple change that was just a little bit more decorative. And then on the next page, kind of got the kind of middle of the road one on the left. It's just a straight baluster with just a little bit of a straight rail and a box design in the top. And then the one on the right on those stairs is, definitely a more of a stylish type of a rail.
Now, on the railing, are we gonna go with, like all black, or is there?
I would go black, because the reason I would do that, and we could change the color if we wanted to. The big thing is we'll put the stairs in, we're gonna set anchor bolts. These rails will be, he'll actually fabricate them on site, get them all tacked up. They'll take them back to their shop, finish weld them, they'll send them out for powder coat. So they will be powder coated and then brought back and installed.
Well, I would think with the railing, we'd want to go, because it is a railroad depot, that we'd want to go a little bit heavier than a residential style rail.
Yes, all of these will
Just
be.
to
yes.
make it.
Yeah, all of these will be a little bit heavier, because they're gonna be more toward the commercial instead of residential.
Yeah, we
anyways.
want to just kind of keep it, it's a railroad building, everything was
Yep.
built heavy. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You got a 2-inch floor.
Oh, yeah.
We want to have
It's amazing.
1/2-inch rails, we want to have nice heavy rails.
Yes, sir.
What's the plan for the ADA railing?
The ADA railing, we're actually gonna.
Or ramp, I meant.
Yeah, the ramp, we're gonna it's gonna go back in the same location. We're actually gonna expand it a little bit, make it a little bit bigger so it gets a little bit closer to the building. That eliminates about 5 or 6 feet with the rail, so it'll save us a little bit of money.
You also have to maintain a slope on that.
Yes, yeah, we have to go,
Single doors or double doors?
it comes up to that top door at the top, which is a 36-inch door, which meets the ADA requirement.
Okay.
So the double doors on the other end. The one thing that we're gonna end up doing, we're gonna end up with at least one more step than what was previously there, because we can't have over a 6-inch high step to meet the ADA requirement.
And how much dirt are we taking out? Is that going to affect any of this?
That'll be adding dirt.
We're gonna be adding dirt.
To that section, we're taking
Yeah.
out of the other, okay.
Yeah, we'll take it out on the back and we're gonna bring it back around on the front. Right where the steps and everything go, we'll more than likely won't put dirt in there, we'll bring gravel in. Cause dirt, we try to put concrete on top of dirt, we're gonna have problems.
Right.
So yeah, we'll put gravel in, compact it, and then put the concrete in. So, last one here is paint colors. This ought to be a good one for you guys. So, we have all the material for all the siding stuff. It showed up today. We're gonna start putting the bottom on, and I'll kind of explain that in a little bit here. But we're gonna be at the point where we're probably gonna need final color choices by the 12th.
Debbie Wingler actually has some original color photos
Okay.
of the building, so we'll get those.
Yep, and, you know, whatever works for you guys. I mean, we paint, we don't paint color, so we don't really have an opinion. What was the other thing we wanted to address?
We see those colors.
Yeah, I'll get the photos from
Next
Debbie.
Tuesday, we see them,
And-
the 9th.
I'll ask her to bring them up Tuesday and we can actually look at the originals.
Okay.
So one last thing, when we go back with the siding, one of the things we're gonna do is we're gonna put underlayment under everything. We're gonna flash everything this time. It wasn't flashed. We are actually going to, the bottom boards, we're actually gonna go in with a 1/4 inch concrete hardy on the bottom for splash protection, which will have felt paper behind it. It'll be flashed up to trim board, which will be flashed back again to the new bead board. And then it has a new cedar top rail that will be flashed into the original siding. So, and then there's one more detail that we did find that's not on the building right now from one of the photos. It actually has a rail that goes along the bottom, which will be in the middle of that hardy board. And we're gonna go ahead and create that detail, and then it'll be face nailed and caulked on, and that will be the paint split. So it will be, the lower color will be split from the lower flashing down to that point. And that will bring that bottom together instead of make it look like one great big thing on the bottom. So this is gonna add that one piece of detail back, and material we're gonna use on that is called AZEK. And it's a fairly expensive PVC product that won't rot. So it's down in that, what I consider the wet zone. So with that, that's kind of where we're at right now. I do have the estimate from the contractor on the excavation I can give you guys right now. I got you one for gutters and downspouts, and that's that one, and then this one here is the excavation. So I brought those for you guys. And I don't know who's taking care of paychecks, but that's for you then.
Thank you.
All right, any questions?
These are within the budget, original budget.
These two items right here are not. These are discovery items that we've come across, so this is kind of where we gotta make a couple hard decisions on what we're gonna do. I'm just making a recommendation. I just think for the longevity of the building, these are two things that we probably need to do. Any other questions?
For what you were doing, you don't need to give us another estimate, do you? 'Cause
Nope.
a lot of things you said,
No,
you do it one way, it's about the same
Yep.
as doing it a different way. Okay.
Yep. I would say the only other thing right now that might cost us a little bit more money is if we decide to do the door on the back as a wall. It's gonna just be a little bit more carpentry. I don't think it's be significant. And then adding the man door, go ahead and replacing the man door would be the only other thing. Other than that, I think our overall target for what we've got set in place is pretty spot on,
Okay.
so. I'll let you have that back.
Thank you.
I believe we were fairly close to budget, weren't we?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that it was, I think the council, based on previous conversations, the council budgeted 50,000, and I think it was right around 47. I'm not sure what it needed.
Anyway.
These two things need to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we want the longevity of the building, we need to get the dirt,
And this is the time to do it.
and this is the time to do it.
You want to do it before the steps and the concrete go in.
Yes.
Because those drain pipes have got to go right underneath that stuff.
No, I think it's something we need to take care of now.
looks like 48, 49. Need to make a motion on this?
Real quick though, how much, what are the estimates? I haven't seen,
Oh, okay. Here.
sorry.
Sorry, I should have brought more copies.
No, you're okay. I just
I
wanna
can
make sure.
make
we're-
I didn't even
copies.
think
Right.
about it.
954.14 for the gutters and 3943.53 for the dirt work.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, council, the way our purchasing works in the town is you can, request bids for these if you'd want, or if you'd prefer to move forward, you can do that as well. I just wanted to make sure you're aware of all the options. But, I mean, that's completely.
Isn't there kind of a timing issue, Bill? I mean, we need to kind of,
I think we need to go ahead and approve both of those work orders
yeah.
at this phase of construction so that we can get it completed before the concrete work and stuff is done. So I would motion that we accept both those bids and approve them.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
Okay.
Are you gonna do those together? Those are together, those two bids?
I think if you wanna go ahead and approve them both together, yes, but
Okay.
just, I wanna make sure that's clear on the record so that we know for our minutes and stuff, so, would you wanna proceed with the vote?
Yeah, all in favor?
Gary
Aye.
Bennington, Rick
Aye.
Deerwester, Greg J,
Aye.
Larry Fiddler?
I will abstain because of family member.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, thank you, Bill. And,
Oh, you're welcome.
we can get those pictures and we'll get that information to you so you can see those and then maybe we can get that.
I'll get those for Tuesday, Bill.
Okay, I'll leave you guys this colored copy here.
He said he needed to know by the 12th if we see the pictures on the 9th. We got a few days to get that to Bill then.
Yeah, now I do have one question. I have an invoice in,
Yes.
so,
Yes, so,
yeah, at some point soon, I need a little help.
It's already been approved, she just needs to cut a check.
I say it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been approved. We just need to cut the check.
Which amount was that one? Or was that the-
9,000 and something.
Okay, I think it's in the mail bag now. So you should get it in a day or so.
All right, that works for me.
all
All
right.
right, there's anything else? You guys have my phone number?
Thanks,
if you
Bill.
need me.
Thank you,
Thank
Bill.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hibler.
Yes. So that might gonna work, okay. Hey, first off, I want to because I've got an alibi from the last meeting, Mr. Getter. I want to personally thank you, the fence you're putting up over there, class act. Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
John.
Well, I understand that, but I'm very impressed with that, and that's, I've heard a lot of great positive comments on that, just so you know, from out in the community. So thank you, sir. Okay, you asked about 12 Point, we're still working through the computer issues. We finally got 12 Point to come in. They've identified, he's actually got a couple of the computers now he's working on. Should have my computer up and going Thursday that I haven't been on for a couple months. He did take a look, and Larry, I think you were here with him, but he looked through for a server, thank you. I lost for words. And I think the bid's he came up with like $8,000.
600 or something.
$8,045.49.
Yeah,
And he thought that might be a little high.
So we're gonna take a look at our budget. We still wanna work through the budget piece. Susie Bass was able to sit down with me and be able to confirm numbers. And so we'll dive into that part of it to see if that's something that we can take care of this year, if we need to find a grant for, or we'll push it off till next year. So we'll work on that. With that, Susie Bass did show us that we do have the numbers that $236,745 for the salaries, which we've only gotten into a portion of that this year. So I am asking the council for permission to post the opening for a deputy marshal. you know, the salary range there will go up to where, kind of where Levi's at, if we find an officer that's got some experience to come on, but, you know, from a starting in that bracket, we have the funds there to do that. But, you know, with the officers, it's a process. So in doing this, if we start the process now, advertise, we gotta bring them in, we do the interview prior, the written test, we do a physical fitness test to make sure they can pass the academy pre-standards. Then we have a oral interview process, and out of that, we'll have a top candidate. We can give a conditional letter of employment based on them going and passing public safety medical screening. So this is probably a couple-month process.
This is phase one.
This is phase one, yeah, but is getting that in. So I'd like to get your approval so I can go ahead and advertise for that.
And this is to replace an officer that you were
Yes.
about to hire in September?
Last year, yeah.
So this is not really an addition, it's filling an existing
filling-
position.
Okay.
One of the positions that we had, yes.
I'll make a motion to give you permission to proceed.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you on that. The only other thing with knowing the salaries now, the money we got to work with, as you know, I put together our strategic plan. Within that strategic plan, there's a pay matrix thing I'd like to give with you, Daniel, and take a look at those numbers, so we might be able to actually, with the new pay that you're talking about, or the
ordinance.
pay ordinance coming out, where we might be able to make those adjustments to Adam to get him where he needs to be, to get them apart, so they plug into that pay matrix that we're talking about. So.
Perfect.
All right, and that's, other than we're in some difficult times in law enforcement, I need all the help I can get right now, to be honest with you, so.
Anything else? Council?
No.
Okay, discussion on town manager.
Well, I just wanted to start, I guess, getting this on the council's, get it on your mind, I guess, moving forward. We have a vacancy in the town manager role, and you know, the town manager, that role can be a very important role for the town, but also for the town council. So I don't know if you guys have any ideas on how you would like to proceed, if you would want to hire a replacement town manager, if you would not want to do that. So ultimately, I'm just trying to get a better idea as to how the council would like to proceed, so that,
If we do proceed, I want the person vetted very thoroughly. Very thoroughly.
okay?
Brad Falk is interested in that position. He did make the statement that there would be a learning curve for him. He said he didn't know whether he could handle it or not, but he'd like to give it a shot.
Does he work
He works for the town president.
now? Yeah, right.
And, but do want to keep him under consideration.
Who was that, Larry?
Brad Falk.
Okay, thank you.
Just, I guess, for people tuning in, what does Brad do for the town?
Right now, he is running the street department, sewage department,
How long has he been working?
approximately 5 years,
Five?
maybe just a little bit longer than that.
He's the foreman there.
Yes, yeah. He's considered a foreman over those.
Is that something that you would, if the council's wanting to begin the process of replacing the town manager, do you want to?
I know we had mentioned it before, and we would like to go from within, you know, that, I'd entertain that idea, talking more to Brad.
Well, I think we definitely, that would be our first to promote within, but I think we also need to open it up for outside just to see what other options we have.
Correct.
So we don't want to just keep it as a closed,
Yeah, okay.
but definitely, you know, being a current employee, he's gonna be on, you know, the list.
Right. So we need to advertise, or?
So yeah, we would probably need to get some kind of advertisement out. We can utilize AIM. They have a job posting site for municipal employees.
Along with the requirements for the position.
yes.
Mhm.
We can utilize,
Daniel, we use Indeed. And we've got, where we compose, that's what we did last time, and I think I ended up with like 72 applicants for the last patrolman position, or deputy marshal position, by using the Indeed. It pushes out to all the other sites, so.
so what we can do is we can get, a list of duties for the town manager.
I think we need to come up with a job description and minimum requirements for that position.
There is one, I believe, in the, employees.
I think we need an updated,
Possibly. I've got
because-
one somewhere at home, it's about a 2-page requirement, single space.
Maybe worth looking at, Gary, if you
Yeah.
bring that in.
So
Okay.
we can definitely get that, but, additionally, now that we're kind of revising or looking at revising the salary ordinance,
Yeah.
we can start considering what, where the council would like to begin pay at. And actually, it's probably a good thing to start having that conversation now. Currently, the budgeted amount for the town manager role is, I believe, around $48,000 a year. That's what was previously budgeted for Mr. Galloway.
Was it?
I believe it was 48,250 is,
Did she give him a raise, not the building inspector, but a raise along with hers too,
yes.
which was improper?
Well, so, yeah, and I think what we're gonna be doing here is trying to get some of those changes that were made in the past by Ms. Galloway taken.
I think what we're trying to do is clean up the past, and when we put the posting out, we need to be very specific as to what the job description is, what the minimum requirements are, the credentials that are needed, et cetera, to even apply for the position.
The town manager and wastewater manager and the water manager all make about the same. So what Richard Saltzman is making is what the town manager.
Correct.
Because that
Fairly
white collar
close.
overtime rule or something.
Okay. And just to follow up, I with what you were referring to with the pay, I think that was what was presented to the council in around Christmas time as a bonus. I just wanna make sure that additional, I think it was 50 cents an hour, that was authorized by the council in December. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Just for the record.
Daniel, if you wanna know, the town manager from the most recent, salary ordinance we have is $48,256. That also includes a vehicle allowance.
Yeah, that's $780.
Yeah.
That still sticks in my craw. I don't know what it is. They've got a company vehicle. What do they need it for? $780.
Well,
That is
it's
not
the-
paid to them, that is a,
Strictly
Tax.
for taxing. It's a vehicle spiff.
right. So they end up paying taxes to use the vehicle.
Basically,
Because
like
it's a
we put like the
benefit.
$30 in, tax it, and then
Take it back.
take it back out.
Yeah.
I'm still confused.
It's a
It's a
benefit.
taxable income.
Yeah, it's a benefit that is taxed for that position.
And Gary, that's something that we can get revised in the salary ordinance. We can remove that language if that's something that the council would like.
Well, I don't quite understand this early yet. It'll come to me sooner or later, but if they're using a company vehicle, if they're furnished a company vehicle.
That's why it's considered a taxable income.
And that's all it is just taxable income.
We're not giving him $700
It's
or,
like, it's a pass-through, right?
Right.
Oh,
it's pretty standard procedure for take-home vehicles for,
Where I work, the company vehicle I have, they put money, they give me money, but then they take it right back out, but it's taxed.
and it's really, you don't even get the money
No,
for
I
this,
don't,
it just
no.
shows up as a
It just-
taxable
right.
income of an
Correct.
additional $700
Correct.
income that you're taxed on
Right.
for the use of the company vehicle.
Yep. Still confused.
It's something that came about 20 years ago.
Well, one of the things too, and I just offer this up, what I've done with the police department with that pay matrix, it gives a range, a pay range. And what you find a lot of times, especially if you look through in the job and such, you'll have a pay range they come in depending upon their experience and stuff they bring to the table where you can plug them in. We've got that now built into the police matrix where, like, for example, if somebody comes in with 3 years of experience, we can plug them in, basically where Levi's at with 3 years of experience or so on.
Yeah.
If they have less, there's gradual mark, but you have that starting point that you're coming in at. Because I believe even when we were looking back in the salary the last several years, I think town manager, just a couple of years ago, was like 43,000, and it's moved its way up to 48.
Yeah.
So it's, where it's at right now wasn't where it was at, so it depends on what you want to start somebody at and such. And that's the thing with every one of the positions, if you would build that into your pay matrix, and then I talked about a paragraph and line type number where you actually know the positions you have, so you know exactly how many town positions. It's tied in there, and it's just easier to track.
Is there a beginning and ending, low and top bracket for town manager?
I'm not sure.
Most everything in the ordinance does have a low and high bracket.
And I think that was one of the things that
It's
will be
part of our
changed.
cleanup.
Yeah, so
Are you
Gary,
talking about just our ordinance you're wanting to know, or like in general?
The salary ordinance.
This one, no, it is one set amount. It's the $47,476 plus a $780 for vehicle allowance. That's all it says.
All the others have a low and high bracket stuff.
Nope, just one number.
They-
On the front there.
They had it.
Those
at
are
one
the
point.
things we're
Oh.
correcting.
This is like all of the positions, not just the one.
Yeah,
You're more than welcome to.
I thought maybe the town manager did it, but not.
Yeah, this one's just the town managers.
Yeah, okay.
And then the others.
The others,
You're talking about the building inspector one?
No,
no, but, oh, there it is, start 28 up to 32, that's what I was wondering about town manager.
Yeah, it's.
No, it doesn't.
The town manager position did not cap out.
Gary, I just wanted to follow up, clarify. You were asking about the town manager role. You weren't talking about the building inspector role.
No, just.
Okay, because what you had said, I thought you were referring to the building inspector role, which the raise was given inappropriately,
Yeah.
not by the council, but I just wanted to make sure you were,
I got my answer with my question.
okay. So you were talking about town manager only,
Yeah.
okay.
and I think that's a good point too. We may not bring that person in, I guess, depending on experience or whatever, right at where Wayne left off. You have a starting pay salary, like Steve was talking about, and he works his way up.
Where would the council like to begin that pay as a starting point?
I think we need to evaluate that and do some research on other surrounding municipalities and where town managers currently are.
Yeah.
For a town our size. So I don't think we're
I
ready to
think-
really set a rate at it.
I think with the town manager, with that, white collar overtime law, I think that did set the, top of the, wages for the town manager.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I don't think it did. I think that has an impact on overtime, but I don't think it would affect the base salary for the town manager role.
Town manager would be an exempt employee because he's
They had to
managing
bring them up
people.
to a certain level with the white collar workers.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Gary. I'd have to look into that.
Well, that's what
That might-
happened anyhow.
So with that, I guess it's good that we've got this conversation started, got a little bit of direction.
Right.
If you'd like to, we can put it on the agenda for next week and kind of start continuing this conversation. Hopefully I can get in contact with some municipalities around and see kind of,
We can have copies of the last two salary ordinances. And we can back and forth and, put in a category for Sam
Right.
and, look at some of the others. Maybe cut the police chiefs.
And if you're reaching out to other towns in reference to the town manager, I would request that we maybe get their job description requirements also, so we can kind of get a baseline.
And they're the size of this town too.
Right. We should be able to find that information, I would think, pretty easily, so. I'll find some similar
Let's
sized
get some data.
municipalities, and all of it should be available on
We're
the,
expensive,
online.
about the same size as we are.
Right, and I don't know if Spencer has a town manager, they may not.
They may have someone with a different
Title.
title.
Right,
Then we can look at that too.
Yeah, I think we need to keep all options open at this point before we commit to anything.
Anything else?
Don't think so.
Okay, move on to, number 12, payment for Mr. Young.
okay, just
For
as
Young's.
sure. So, after Ms. Galloway's resignation on the 11th, before she had resigned on the 8th, she had sent a payment to Mr. Young's for payment of his legal services. Council, I think it was on the 8th, or Larry, I
Yes.
just want to confirm that. So I've been in contact with Mr. Young. He sent me a total for what was provided to Ms. Galloway in terms of legal services. She wrote the check, I think it was for $8,600.
$87.75.
$87.75. Mr. Young's has indicated that if we pay that sooner rather than later, I believe within the next week, they will reduce that amount to $6,000.
Are we obligated to pay him?
Well, this is a very good question. So, the way the statute's written, the statute requires, or basically requires that if a clerk treasurer requests an attorney, that the council or the corporation would have to provide the clerk with funds for an attorney. The stipulation in the statute is that the funds have to be requested at the time that the budget is being prepared. In addition, there has to be notice given to the town council. The town council was never given any kind of notice that Ms. Galloway was going to be hiring an attorney.
She did not request one. She just went and hired one, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
She hired and paid.
Yeah, she should have asked for obviously for the attorney, but she should have wrote the check unless we approved it, right?
The check has been returned.
Yeah,
Yes.
I understand that, yeah.
Mr. Young sent that check
Right.
to me, because I think he was probably concerned that nothing had even been given to the council in terms of
Right,
information about that a check had been cut and sent to him.
right.
So I think that's why he was wanting to send it back to us, so that we could figure out what steps we want to take. So, in terms of the law, it's very clear what the requirements are in terms of there has to be notice given to the council, and it has to be done during the budget preparation process. Ms. Galloway did not comply with either of those. She never gave notice. We didn't even have notice until it was an email from her attorney saying that he now represented Ms. Galloway. So, in reviewing this, I believe the most prudent thing is for the council to pay it.
Yeah, the 6,000.
the law on this is not very clear because it's not really been challenged.
And understand, if we pay this now, he's going to reduce it substantially.
Yeah,
That is correct.
yeah, he's asking for 6,000 rather than
And we can
his
address,
87.
and we can address that at a later time as
Right.
far as the payment.
Right. So my thought is, it's probably best to just pay it. If the council didn't approve the payment, you can expect a lawsuit to follow. And
But there should be no more after this one,
no, that's final,
This
final
will settle
payment.
him.
Yeah, so I guess when she decided that she was going to resign, which must have been either on the 8th or before then, she had went ahead and cut the check and sent it off to him, so, my thought is, again, my recommendation would be to just go ahead and pay it and wash our hands and move forward.
I would make a motion that we pay the 6,000.
Do I have a second?
I will second that we pay the 6,000.
All in favor?
no.
Aye.
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 And just so you know that, Ms. Galloway had filed that public access complaint, and she had utilized the services of Mr. Young in doing that. That's not something that an attorney has to help out with. She could have done that on her own, but she utilized an attorney to do that.
And that has since been,
I'm not sure what the status of that is. There's been some indication that she has withdrawn it. So ultimately, we're paying for services for an attorney who did something for ultimately no reason.
Right.
So that's positive, I think, in some ways, that she's indicated that she wants to withdraw it. But
will still
ultimately,
cost us money.
right, so, I guess now that the council has approved that, Sam, if we could get that cut and sent certified
Okay.
to Mr. Young's, tomorrow, that would be good.
Okay. And then Larry, if you wanna come and, sign that check.
Sign the check.
Look, or I can print it after this
That's fine.
and just sign it, and then you don't have to make a special trip.
What about Wayne's 2 lawsuits, how are they standing?
Well, so those 2 lawsuits, I don't wanna go too far into those just because of,
Are they still active?
they are still active.
That's all I need to know.
And, the attorneys that we're working with are,
Making progress.
Okay.
so hopefully we'll have, some updates on that within the next, I'd say probably 2 to 3 months. We'll see what happens with them, so.
Okay, any other? Okay. Number 13, ADP.
Just briefly on ADP, there have been some documents that have been requested, as part of, ultimately, I need to get some access to some documents concerning payroll from ADP. And I've requested them from Sam and Susie, our auditor, but they can't get access to them without approval from the council. So, I would just request that the council give Larry approval or authorization to sign a letter stating that Sam and Susie both have authority to make requests on behalf of the council.
Susie and,
Susie Bass.
Susie
Susie
Bass,
Bass.
yes, our auditor,
The auditor,
okay.
and Miss Hinman, so.
Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
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 Thank you. I'll get that letter drafted and we'll get that sent off to ADP.
And is there anything else?
I just have some comments from the community. Unfortunately, we're still having some sound-related issues. I don't know if we're gonna really be able to cure that, but, hopefully we can get it worked out at our next meeting. So there was a question from Bob Anderson about work done on the depot and wondering if some suggestions should be suggestions be discussed prior to acceptance of the initial bid.
The
So I think-
original bid,
I
The
think,
original bid's a year old, or,
right.
it was, yes, it was,
I think he was just wondering about the additional bids that were given, or not the bids, the additional changes that the town has made. And I think probably in response to that, some of that work, you're not gonna know until you get in there and actually really start pulling stuff off the wall and seeing the inside and making a plan moving forward. I think that would probably be my interpretation of it.
right, yeah.
There's a question here about getting Monon Avenue fixed. Mr. Jones, I'm not sure. Oh, it sounds like maybe there's some potholes in Monon Avenue.
Okay,
So maybe we can.
There is.
Is there? Mr. Anderson asked about longevity things. I think maybe he's referring to the depot. Wondering about, maybe why it was necessary for the council to take corrective action on some of those things. I think Mr. J had said something about longevity, doing it now as opposed to waiting.
if you
I think
don't,
we're preserving the building from further deterioration, and it's going to be cheaper to perform those operations of repair now rather than later.
Says, Mr. Anderson also said, he recommends that if someone new is brought in with no experience, they shouldn't be paid the same as someone with multiple years of experience. Mr. Long indicated that Ms. Galloway should be paying for that, the attorney's fees. Mr. Long also asked, who's the building inspector now?
I believe we've come to
An agreement?
not actually an agreement, but we're a step closer
We're making progress.
after the commissioners meeting of Monday.
Okay,
Still leaning towards county,
Yes,
picking out,
that's, Mr. Kuhn is asking about building permits.
building permits come from the county as of now, as of 2 weeks ago. Go to the county building permit, it's on the north side of the square, north of the courthouse. It's near Almost Home Restaurant, and you get a permit from there,
That's all the questions.
okay? Anything from the audience? Nothing, Don? Call this meeting adjourned.
I want a note made that Don had nothing to say.
Hey, Daniel,
Yeah.
before you put all your stuff up,
Uh-oh.
I forgot